What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to the Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode number 62. I'm Fox2. Today we've got Pirate
How's it going, guys?
and Topher.
I was going to say something witty and intelligent, and instead I remembered that I'm me.
Fair enough. I will give you honesty points. I'll give you some honesty points. So, Holef and Brian couldn't make it today. Apparently, he got called into work or something. So, such is life, I guess. Not enough time for podcasting. All right, let's talk about what we've been reading this week. I guess I'll start off. I didn't get a chance to read much. I read the newest Batman Eternal, which I know I talk about this every week pretty much, but
It's like a new one comes out every week or something.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. It is really impressive. I'm at no point do I feel like the quality of this book is like sliding down at all. Like they've really, other than the one issue that they had that the artwork was shit, like way back in the beginning, but like the quality of the book has just slowly, consistently risen all the way through the series. Like if you think of it like a winch, it just clicks tighter and tighter and tighter ever so slowly. When the book has never really been bad as a read, so I'm really impressed with the writer's ability to keep the plot twisting and turning in a way that doesn't cheapen the story or make it any less readable. In the most spoiler alert, I guess, in the most recent issue, at the last panel, you find out that for whatever reason, we don't know yet, they're saying that Bruce Wayne is at the center of all of the bad things that are happening in Gotham. So I'm really looking forward to the next several issues to kind of find out what exactly they're talking about, because obviously Batman's not going to, if he was at the center of this for whatever reason, there had to be some kind of bigger grand scheme or something like that. But I don't see it. I don't know. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Gosh, other than that, I don't think I got a chance to read. I can't recall anything else that I got a chance to read yet this week. So hopefully more next week. I don't know. Pirate, what about you?
I read, I picked up back where I left off on American Vampire, because hearing Brian talk about it constantly made me want to go back and read it.
I'm gonna have to
So
read
I didn't
that.
read much of it. I just read I think it's the second or third part of the second volume. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. I'm kind of confused, but I haven't read past the second volume yet. But it just seemed like between the first book and second book, it seems like the character that you think is the hero is not the hero. At least that's where I feel now. And they introduce new characters, and these new characters are kind of it's just really weird. Like, is where you start seeing the different types of vampires towards the the end of the book, and why they're feuding, I guess, for the most part. But it's definitely well written. It's not due to the fact that it's not a well written book. It's just,
Now you've read it before, right?
yeah, I've read it before, but it's like I said, I have have 5 volumes of them, and I read the first one, and then I went back and read the second one again. But the second one is where I get confused at, so that's why I'm going back through and reading it before I start the third one, because I don't want to be kind of lost. Because the main character, Skinner Sweet, so far, like, seems like a good guy in the first one, but then he becomes like a villain in the second one, or he may not be a villain. I don't know, but he does some very villainous things. So maybe he's kind of like more of a Punisher type character. You know what I mean, like the anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But it's like I said, work through it. If I don't get it after this one, I'm just going to go to the third book and hope it gets explained.
Or you can just ask Brian.
No, I refuse.
I refuse. I refuse to ask a man for help.
He'll say, no, don't worry about it. The second book's poop. Just go to the third one.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Topher, what about you? Did you get a chance to read anything?
I haven't really read much of anything. I read a couple of issues of X-Men, I think, and that was it. And it wasn't anything special, so unfortunately, I don't really have much to talk about on that one.
That's all right. I mean, it happens to all of us. We all have weeks where we're tied up with other real-life obligations, unfortunately. Reading comic books and talking about how awesome they are doesn't quite pay the bills. So, there's that.
True story.
If there's anybody out there that wants to donate to the cause, let us know. By all means. We would love to just read as many comic books every week and tell you about them. You know, we'll accept monetary donations or comic books. Just let us know.
Or we can just send you our bills and you can pay them for us. Wow. However you want to do that.
Just bringing the heat with that one. Damn. He's like, or I've got some debt you could just pay off for me. I mean,
I don't have any debt, thank goodness, but I do have like ongoing bills.
Yeah. He's like, I got this cell phone bill. If anybody out there wants to pay my cell phone bill so I can talk to other people.
Cell phone, cards, my insurance, internet bill. Keep the life force flowing. Pay the internet bill.
Yeah, that's true. This is the internet is kind of like the lifeblood of the podcast. God forbid we would have to all occupy one room to be able to do this without it.
We're gonna fight at some point. Somebody would get punched. It might actually be a good episode.
That might be fun.
We'd still need the internet to upload it.
We got libraries.
Yeah, we'll just take it to Starbucks or something.
Squatter's right.
What we might have to get all of us in one room and try and do one time just for. I'm gonna have to bust out the boxing gloves or some shit though. All right, well, tabletop game of the week. I'm coming up a little shy. Lots of preparation go into this segment, in case you viewers can't tell. Literally seconds of preparation will go into this as Chris Topher tells us the tabletop game of the week.
And by seconds of preparation, he means that he introduces it, and then I remember that, oh yeah, we need to do that, and then he rambles for several seconds while I think of something to talk about.
To explain, those of you that have been following us for a while but may have missed the last few episodes, a new segment, very short segment that we've tried to incorporate is Tabletop Game of the Week. So we're trying to feature a different tabletop board game every single week, tell a little bit about it, kind of the gist of it, how difficult it is to learn, about how long it takes to play the game, I guess what it costs, where you can find it, the company that makes it, basically just the general information about the tabletop game. This is just another nerdy or geeky avenue that all of us on the podcast really enjoy to do. Also, including, in addition to reading comic books, this is something that we all take part in. So if you like this segment, or you hate this segment, or you have any thoughts at all about this segment, leave them in the comment section below. We love getting feedback from you guys. It really, really drives the podcast. It really lets us know that you're listening to what we're saying, which is always, obviously a plus. But we want to talk about what you want to hear us talk about. So if you've got a game that you want us to cover, or you've got a topic, anything like that, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll be sure to address it somehow. Topher, save me. Throw me a life raft here.
Okay, so let's see here. This week, since I was kind of
we need a theme song for this, I feel like.
Right? Even though we've done this, several weeks in a row now, I still somehow was managed to be blindsided by it.
That's all right.
and forgot that this was a thing. So I came up with an impromptu idea here that...
He's like, it's a deck of cards.
Well, it is. It is actually. This week I'm going to talk about a little game called Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, I've heard of this. I have not. I have not
Everyone's
yet got.
heard of it.
I have not yet
you
got
have
to
never
play it.
played
No,
this?
I have never
Oh
played
my
Cards
God.
Against Humanity.
You are in for a treat.
Is this the
My
game
friend.
that they're always playing on Big Bang Theory, or is that something different?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
never
think
mind.
they're-
I'd have a hard time believing that anybody would play this game on TV, like on non.
Yeah, you could not play this game on TV. It is this. First off, let me begin by saying this game is not for children.
Perfect. So it's perfect for this podcast. All right.
Not for children. So anyway, Cards Against Humanity is a game that you can play very impromptu. It's a quick game. You can play it for as long as you want. There's no time limit on it, which is why I thought it was perfect for a quick impromptu
Tabletop game of the week.
on this segment.
He's like, this
So-
for this segment that I don't even remember the name of.
Exactly, for this thing that we do, that we have a name for, and that gets used on occasion by not me. So the idea here is it's a bunch of cards. There is a deck of cards. There are white cards and there are black cards. And the black everyone gets dealt a hand of cards. If you've ever played the game Apples to Apples,
Alright.
it's kind of that's a more kid-friendly version. I don't know which one came first. I think that one might have come first.
Apples to apples came first.
Yeah, I think it did too. But this is basically like an adult version. So you have category cards, which are the black cards, and you have different answer cards, which are the white ones. Everyone gets dealt a hand of white cards, and then you take turns reading the category cards, and everyone plays a card from their hand that they think feels that they think is a good fit for that particular card. And I thought I just had a good example here, and I pulled out the wrong card.
There
Okay.
are 5
Yeah.
expansion sets for this game.
Oh, there's way more than 5. There are
Holy
5
shit.
standard expansion sets. Then there's a few, like there's a holiday pack. There's a 90s expansion pack. And there's another set called The Bigger Blacker Box.
Oh my god.
That's,
Oh my
A
god.
lot of cards.
that in addition to having some extra cards, gives you a giant box to put them all in. So here are my cards. These are all the white ones here and all the black ones here. And so I'm gonna give you a couple examples here.
I just want to say something really quick. I have to interject and add this. As he's telling us about this, I'm looking up a little bit more information on it, just to give you guys as much information about the book or the game as possible. And on Amazon, if you look up Cards Against Humanity, it always comes up with like bullet points about the product, and the last bullet point on this says 0% of the proceeds. 0% of the proceeds will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That is one of their selling points for this game. That is super fucked up. Oh my god. We're going to keep all of our money and donate none of it to charity, so fuck off. That's fine.
Damn.
So, all right. So here we go. So let's see here.
And the tagline is a party game for horrible people.
Pretty much. And so, like, one of the category cards will be like, I get by with a little help from blank.
Okay.
And then all the other players will throw down, a group of cards, and you'll sit there and you'll mix them up, and then the person will go through and read them off and try and figure out which one they think fits the best. So I get by with a little help from an ice pick lobotomy, or I get by with a little help from elderly Japanese men, or horrifying laser hair removal accidents, peeing a little bit, my collection of high-tech sex toys. Or I get by with a little help from the World of Warcraft, or doing the right stuff to her nipples, or the one that I randomly drew here that I would pick as the winner for this one. I get by with a little help from slowly easing down onto a cucumber.
Oh man! So
that gives you a little idea of how the
what
game
you're in
goes.
store for. All right, fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of those are some of the more middling cards. There are cards a lot more
So let me get this
egregious
straight.
than that.
To recap everything we've learned about the game so far, Topher gets a little help getting by, sliding down easily onto a cucumber. Pretty much sums it up, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this game's a lot of fun. When I go to Gen Con every year in August, it seems like every single year there's like just impromptu Cards Against Humanity games breaking out like in the hallways of the convention late at night, and you just sit down and join some random group of people playing, and it's always like hilariously fun. And then basically whoever's answer won, they get to keep the black card, and then good morning, Brian. They get to keep the black card and then move on, and like that's how you keep score. And then just whenever you basically want to stop playing, whoever has the most cards wins.
Right.
Whoever came up with the most horrible responses.
So to recap, the tabletop game of the week this week is Cards Against Humanity, made by Cards Against Humanity LLC. You can get it on Amazon for $25, and if you have Amazon Prime, you can get free shipping. By the way, we are not sponsored by Amazon Prime, although if anybody from Amazon is watching this, we would love to be, because that shit is fucking expensive, even though I did pay it and I am a member. You get 550 cards, 460 white cards, 90 black cards. And remember, 0% of the proceeds will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
This is the prime.
This is the prime of my life. I'm young, hot, and full of jizz. That is Topher all over.
Yeah, I got one that said Disney on Ice presents AIDS.
Oh my gosh, this is horrible. So welcome, Holef and Brian. Are you going to be able to join us for the rest of the podcast, or just
Probably not. I probably only have 10 minutes left to go back and
just until your manager
do some
finds
more
you?
work. Yeah.
Just until your manager finds you
Like hiding in a
podcasting in the
warehouse
bathroom. This is like some guerrilla warfare podcasting. You look at he's like looking over the door and shit. Like, where the fuck are they coming for me? All right, well, Holef and Brian, have you got to read anything this week?
What did I read this week that was really good? I read Batman issue number 39, I think it is.
The final episode of Endgame?
I don't know if it's the final episode, but it was really good. The ending was awesome because Batman goes to the Court of Owls to help them against Joker. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of that. But
I need to get up on that story.
I've read other things, but I can't remember right now.
Okay,
It's been a long week of work.
Fair enough. Since we are only on a limited time span here for Brian, I'll give you a list of the news topics, and you can pick the first one that you want to, unless you've got one that you, off the top of your head, that you would love to discuss.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, well, we have the Fantastic Four trailer.
Let's
Jimmy...
go to that. We need to go to that.
All right, okay. All right.
Let's go to the Fantastic Four trailer.
Take us off. Lead it off.
A couple of days before the Fantastic Four trailer came out, Nerdist News was
I don't know what he's saying, but it doesn't sound like English.
Some of those costumes were their costume predictions were correct. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Johnny Storm in the trailer had this grayish suit on. That suit had vents on it so he could release steam. There's a part in the trailer where Mr. Fantastic you don't see him use it. He's using his powers, but you don't see it good enough. But you can tell like he's stretching his arm. That suit he's wearing supposedly has springs on it to help him bring back his arm. And
What?
then of course there's the part at the end of the trailer where they're sitting, all standing in front of that blue beam that's going up. And if you notice, Ben pants on.
Ben pants on was all I got.
He has no pants on. Go back and watch it again if you haven't noticed it. But I mean, you could tell they're taking the full-on story as an adaptation to the Ultimate Universe story. Their first like story arc for the Ultimate Fantastic. I don't like when they do that. I mean, yeah, they're taking from source material, but at the same time, it's like it's weird.
What did you think of the trailer as a whole?
It visually looked cool, but since I was thinking, oh, this is Fantastic Four, or as the end of the trailer said, Fant Four Stick, whatever it was. It was. I didn't like it. It wasn't. It just didn't seem Fantastic Four to me. But if you separate it and not think of the Fantastic Four, it looked good.
Yeah, I will say I was pleasantly surprised by how intrigued I am. Against my better judgment, because I'm pretty sure the movie's going to be awful. The teaser trailer makes me somewhat interested. I don't think it's going to make me interested enough to want to go out and spend, $10 on a movie ticket plus however much for popcorn and all that shit, and have to deal with the general public. But when this comes to Amazon or something like that, or Redbox, I might go and rent it and watch it, because it did pique my interest a little bit. It looks like they're at least taking the shit seriously now, versus like Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I mean, those movies were god awful.
They were awful.
They were just. I mean, you could tell it wasn't even like a valiant effort. It wasn't like. We could have, the four of us could have been the Fantastic Four. I mean, just imagine Topher as the Invisible Woman.
Wait, ready?
Look at that! Where did she go? Where did she go? You can't see her, but she's sitting right there. That's basically the quality right there. I mean, we're like 99% of the way to like sequel to Rise of the Silver Surfer. But this new trailer, it really did. It felt more like an X-Men film. Like the feel of it felt more like a. Oh shit! What was the last X-Men film?
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. It had that kind of feel to it. The costumes and stuff were reminiscent of that feel. Taking it a little more seriously, trying to add an element of realism to a topic that obviously isn't real. But that's what they've done. That's what Marvel's done with their movies that has been so successful. They've tried to incorporate the realism that you can incorporate when trying to talk about mythological characters or superheroes or what have you. So I liked the trailer. I did. I probably still won't go see it in theaters, but I thought it was good. What about you, Pirate? What did you take away from it?
I'm pretty much with you on the same. I when the trailer was released, I didn't watch it for like 3 or 4 days after, even though I knew.
Yeah, same here.
Because I was so God, this fucking shit, And then like there was like it just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I was like, well, all right, I'll give it a shot. It's a minute and a half. And how bad could it be? I watched it, and as I went into it, I kept looking like, oh, that looks like shit. That looks like shit. But then somewhere around like the 30, 40-second mark, I was like, when the trailer starts kind of like the edits start getting faster and faster and build up. By the end of it, I was kind of like, that doesn't look too bad. Like you said, I'm not gonna go to the theater and buy it, buy a ticket for it.
But if this one's good, I might go see the next one.
Yeah.
It's a step. It's a small step in the right direction. I feel like.
Yeah. It didn't seem as I guess
Stupid as hell.
cartoony as the first two did. If that makes sense. Kind of
Yeah.
not cartoony, but you know what I mean, like kind of like just very
Yeah, I feel you. Topher, you want to weigh in on this?
yeah.
Yeah, my personal feeling is that white people like a homoerotic volleyball montage.
I do.
I am a big fan of Top Gun.
Yeah, so
I mean, I did just get a puppy, and I did name him Maverick.
uh,
And I did sit the dog down and make him watch Top Gun the first night he was here.
Did you fit him in a cardboard jet?
Not yet. I'm going to get him an Air Force outfit, pilot's uniform for Halloween next year, though.
I think I don't know. It was interesting. It looked like they were trying to go for a more almost realistic, slightly older feeling sci-fi feel to it, and I liked that. The Fantastic Four started out and have always kind of been a little bit more, gritty sci-fi rather than like, I mean, sure they've got the, there's weirdness and there's super villains and this and that, and there's some magic here and there, but primarily they were always about traveling the the galaxy and seeing all these weird like, to me, I always had this reminiscent feel of like 50s sci-fi whenever reading Fantastic Four, and I feel like the tone of the trailer maybe captures that a little bit. I still don't know about the age of the kids, and I still hate when movies, like have teenagers do everything, and like you've got this team of teenage super geniuses, like it doesn't feel that realistic, so I don't know whether Reed is going to be some super scientist or whether he's some kid doing a science project or what. Like, I think the story works maybe a little better if they're slightly older than what they're being casted as, but I don't know. I was kind of hopeful. It didn't look terrible to me. The effects looked good. It looked like they were trying to take it seriously. It looked like it had maybe an old sci-fi feel to it. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. The effects did look good, and to be blatantly honest, at this point in time, like with the technology that's out there, if they can't pull off the proper special effects for this movie, then they shouldn't fucking do it. Period. Like, because the technology's there. There's 17-year-old kids on YouTube doing shit like that. It's that available. So they should be able to pull off the right amount of special effects for that. The next topic, I'm going to jump over.
Before I gotta go.
All right, Brian, thanks for chiming in. Got to get back to work. All right,
peace.
See ya.
But I do think the Fantastic Four would be better with a homoerotic volleyball montage.
I believe you would say that. Okay. All right, we'll jump over to talk about Jimmy Olsen was cast for the CBS Supergirl TV show. They cast, I'm going to butcher the shit out of this name, Mehcad Brooks, I think is how you say it. He's from True Blood. It's also rumored that he is going to be Supergirl's love interest in the TV show, which is, I don't know. I don't read a ton of Superman, so I don't know how that vibes, but Jimmy Olsen's never been black before either. So that is pretty far off of source material, but I don't know. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other about this because I don't know the actor. I don't know what he's like. I am interested to see this TV show because I hope it does. I hope it does well, because if that does well, if they can really grab the attention of the female audience to watch a comic book inspired television show that is targeted directly at them, that will only bolster the popularity of comic books and the entire industry, not just television shows, but it's going to make the medium of comics that much more readily available to us on multiple different fronts. You know, movies, television shows, the comics themselves, electronically. It's yeah. I think it's a good thing. Either of you guys have anything to say about that?
I mean, I don't think that, I mean, they've had shows like this that have catered to women that
But
they've tried to work.
None
with.
of them
Like
really
Birds
did
of
great.
Prey. Right, but I mean, like Birds of Prey was supposed to be a big one that was going to do it, and it didn't. It was a
It
good
just
show,
didn't.
though.
I don't know. Do you remember The Adventures of Lois and Clark from the '90s?
Yeah, with
I
that
don't.
Dean Cain.
Oh,
It was a very,
yeah.
it was a very Terry Hatcher as
Terry
Lois
Hatcher as
Lane.
Lois Lane, and Dean Clark as the
Dean
worst.
Cain.
Dean Cain.
Dean-
Yeah, Dean Clark.
Yeah.
Dean Cain is the worst Superman ever.
I liked that show. I mean, I
It
was
was, I mean,
Well, it
what,
did, then
like-
it did its job in targeting you,
I was like
Invisible
12,
Woman.
but
the whole, you know what though? Like the whole Jimmy Olsen being black though.
I don't think it
doesn't
really
bother
matters.
me.
I don't think it matters
it
at all.
doesn't.
No.
But what I just find it weird, and I don't know why. Like Jimmy Olsen. Oh, I don't know. Like maybe it's just because I always picture him, but yeah, I don't think it matters that he's gonna be black. It's
No,
gonna be a little. I'm just curious how they portray his character more, because if he's a love interest, is he gonna be like charging in more, like like trying to fight with her? Or is he going to be more like she going to be constantly pulling him out of trouble, like how it should be?
What I'm
Like,
wondering,
I mean,
what I'm wondering is, how do you make a Supergirl television show and not ever have a Superman? How do you have Supergirl and not at least somewhat regularly have an appearance by Superman?
well, I mean, maybe this is during his
movie rights.
maybe this is during his period where he asks Supergirl to cover Metropolis for him while he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude, and maybe this is when he's left Earth for a while.
Well, like Topher's right. If it depends on the timeline. Like if it's early in Kara's like life, like her coming to planet Earth, you got to have Clark Kent.
Right, you have to.
But because I mean he's the one who kind of like coaches
Taught
her along.
Yeah.
Right, but if it's later and she's already been there and I mean, she's got a bit more of wanderlust than Clark does. She it wouldn't be nothing for her to like have a storyline where she's been spending the first like 2 or 3 years just traveling the world and ends up back in Metropolis.
Yeah, that's true. That's
You
true.
know?
I'd buy into that for sure.
Yeah, so I think it can work. It just needs to be. It just depends on how they plan on working it into incorporating it, if they choose to, with other DC the televised
Yeah.
world, or even the cinematic world. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really read too much about it, but I'll definitely give it a shot and watch it.
All right. Next
They're
bit.
flying around in a miniskirt.
Next bit of news. DC teases that Hal Jordan is going to lose his Green Lantern ring.
Which makes sense because his ring is from Sinestro.
It is.
Like, so he never really had a ring, so it's only a matter of time if something happens to Sinestro, or Sinestro loses his willed ability to maintain and control that ring, then who's Hal Jordan going to get his ring from? Simon Bass has already proven that he's got his ring.
I was kind of hoping Brian would be here to discuss this because he's current on Green Lantern stuff too. But
Yeah.
my shot in the dark prediction is that Hal Jordan will take the white ring in order to save Kyle Rayner's life. That's my prediction.
I am not current on Green Lantern, but that would be awesome. And he's already had, even though there was no white ring, he's already been the White Force before.
Yeah.
With Spectre, but it kind of made him go crazy in the process. Well, he went crazy when he went to the Will Corps.
Topher, anything? Nothing? Kind of out of your element a little bit?
I am not up on Green Lantern at all. I don't really know what's going on. So
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's my. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens in coming weeks and months to see where that kind of leads. I am going to now take a hard left, driving this train right back into Topher's realm. Fox has confirmed that they are planning an X-Men TV series. Topher, go.
Here's the thing. Like, to my knowledge, that I've seen, I've gone looking and I've found like zero details on it. Like, that is literally the entirety of the news. Fox is talking about a possible X-Men TV show. They've said nothing about when it will be, where, like, what, who's going to be in it, whether it's going to tie into the movies, whether, there have been zero details so far.
They're keeping it pretty tight-lipped, huh?
Well, I don't know that they've got a plan yet. I think they just pitched the idea. They said, could we do an X-Men show? And, their TV department was like, sure.
Yes.
And they're like, all right, let's figure out what we want to do then. So I don't think it's really gone past that point. I think I actually did see something where it wouldn't air till like 2016 or 17 or something like that. So I mean, like, it's still a ways off. So I'm excited about the possibility. Maybe it depends on, it's Fox. So
says that it's unlikely that a show would be ready before 2016 to 2017 season.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I honestly, obviously, I love the X-Men, and so more X-Men media for me to consume would be cool. But if it's gonna suck, then I'm a little less excited about it, because the last thing we need is more bad press for Fox and the X-Men, and one more reason for Marvel to stop putting them in comics and to replace them with Inhumans at every turn, and pretty much pretend like they don't exist, even though it's their biggest selling line.
I sense a small, just an ever so tiny amount of bitterness here. I don't know if you're picking up on this, Pirate, but
in this one.
My bitterometer is just fucking freaking out right now.
We've grown accustomed to how Topher masks his bitterness, and he always drifts off and looks to, let's see, it would be his right and kind of down a little bit when he talks. When you know he's going into that bitter realm, it's like he looks away and is like, oh, sarcasm is to follow.
Oh man.
So
I'm excited. I'm not even like an avid X-Men follower. I don't read the books. I loved the last movie, Days of Future Past. I really like X-Men First Class. I would watch an X-Men TV show though. I would.
Now, one thing I will say, and I've said this in the past, is that kind of the format of the X-Men in the comics, even, where you have an ensemble cast, not necessarily one particular leader. I mean, you've got leader roles, but you don't have there's not like the main character. If you read Claremont's old X-Men run, every single issue is takes a different perspective than the last one. One will be told from Storm's perspective. One will be, you'll get a few that focus on Kitty Pryde. You'll have a side story on Nightcrawler. And so you've always had this it's always been about a family and a team, and not all about one star. And so I've always personally felt that a TV series would be a much better format for the X-Men than movies, because movies are going to be one big event. You never get to. You either have to focus on one character and tell the story from that character's.
There's not enough time
follow
to
him around,
it.
like Hugh Jackman and everything.
Wait,
you know,
I just saw him look down and to the right. Bitterness.
But you know,
we
or
should see if we can get Hugh Jackman on here so he can verbally spar with Topher.
oh no! Don't get me wrong. I like Hugh Jackman. No, I'm not backtracking. No, I think Hugh Jackman plays an amazing Wolverine. I think Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is spot on. I think it's great. I think he does an amazing job. I'm super glad that he is into it as he is and devoted to it, the role, and you know wants to come back, wants to keep doing it. That's awesome. That is amazing.
I can't wait to tell him how much you like his Wolverine Origins movie.
Well, you know, his performance in it was decent, but the movie overall sucked.
That would be, on a side topic, that would be the best conversation to just sit back and watch.
I'm kind of curious to see what he thinks of that movie, honestly. But no, I like him in that role. I think he does a great job with it. I love that casting. But I don't necessarily want to see every single X-Men movie be a Wolverine and some other people movie. You know, like give that level of devotion to a couple of the other characters for once. You know, I mean, like Cyclops has been like the leader of the X-Men for decades, and like how much time has really been given to him on screen? You know, like what did they do to Jean Grey? Yeah, and then they make him like a whiny ass little brat. Not that he's, you know, I mean he's had some very boring periods in comics, but you know, like there's other stuff you could do there. You know, I mean, Colossus gets like 2 seconds of screen time, and they maybe say his name once, and he has like no dialogue and just goes around and smashes people. You know, like watch the X-Men movies and tell me one detail about Colossus's personality. Can't. Yeah. You know, and the X-Men have always been very character-driven stories. You know, yes, there are plots, there are big things happening, but it's always been about how the individual members of the team internalize it and how they deal with it and and how they grow as people and their relationships with each other. I mean, let's be honest, it's basically a comic book soap opera. You know, like it's hard to find, you know, a couple X-Men that haven't, you know, that haven't hooked up at one point in time. You know, I mean, it's basically a comic book soap opera, you know, and so I think it would work way better serialized as a TV show. So the fact that somebody's trying to do that, I think it's awesome. So we'll just have to see now, you know, whether they try and make it like a teen high school thing, or you know, whether they try and make it a more adult drama, or you know, I don't know what. There's a lot of different directions they could take in this, because depending on like what group of X-Men they choose, you know, I just hope they don't, you know, randomly add new characters for the hell of it. You know, I mean, like there's nothing wrong with new characters, but you know, like taking old characters that have established storylines and then mixing them up and putting them in weird positions and retelling their origin stories. It's like, why don't you just do a new character, or use one of the other 10 characters that has that exact same origin story? So, you know, I just hope they keep it, you know, as close to some storylines from the comics as possible. They're true to the characters, and that they do some good quality production on it. I mean, if they get like an Arrow quality show out of it, yeah, that'd be fucking amazing. If it ends up being, you know, like the old Fantastic Four movies, then I'm gonna wish they had never done it. You know.
My current take on the track record with Fox right now is definitely, you know, Gotham.
It's terrible.
Looked really good going in, and it's lost me. So if it's, I don't know, you know, like I don't think. I don't know, but Fox is going to come in and do the same thing. Then
listening to Topher talk about it, and talk about the concept that it's basically a comic book soap opera, which is, whether you watch soap operas or not, clearly that's a proven formula that works on television, because otherwise you wouldn't have these soap operas that have been on for, God, I don't even know how long. Some of these things...
There's some my grandma started watching.
That's what I'm saying. They've got to be 30 years ago, you know, something like
that. Well, look at professional wrestling. It's basically a fighting soap opera.
Exactly. So clearly that formula works. It is something that is engaging. It's something that gets the audience involved and gets them invested to where they want to come back and see what happens next week. But what listening to you talk about it, Topher, what really drew me in and made me want to watch it more, as almost a novice to X-Men. My exposure to X-Men is this: I watched the cartoon growing up. I've seen the X-Men movies, and I've maybe read a handful of X-Men books. Not a ton of exposure to the X-Men, but what really made me interested in it was when you started talking about the concept of having character-based episodes where it's not just focusing on this particular character, but you're kind of seeing things from that character's perspective. So it gives you the time to identify with that character, learn a little bit about their personality and who that character is, versus just an action movie with a group of people that you know are badasses and have special powers, but learning about the person and being able to identify with the characters. And in doing that, I think that then you give the audience an opportunity to attach themselves to a favorite character, so to speak. This is my favorite X-Men character, or these two people because of how they interact or whatnot. But like you said, there's just not enough time in a feature-length film to develop that depth of characters.
Yeah, and if you look at any show with an ensemble cast, or or even soap operas or wrestling, like they focus on different storylines for different people. Everybody you will have a series of episodes or whatever that are focused on one person's story, or follow one person, and it changes from week to week, and in the end, it's not like the main character and their supporting cast, like a show like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for instance. Great, fantastic show. Pirates Megatron again.
Yeah, Megatron's back. It's been a while since we've heard him.
Something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a fantastic show. So there are formulas that make that work, but you have like Buffy as the main character, and everybody else is supporting cast. And that show was awesome, but the show was about her. If that show was about a team, then you would need episodes that focus on one person or another, and you would have people's favorite characters, and to draw the wrestling comparison again, people have different favorite wrestlers because it's not about one guy and all the people that that battle him. It's they have different storylines that cross over for different characters, and everybody has a different favorite because they're all given some equal time.
Wait,
and I think
wait. So you're saying that professional wrestling's not real?
It's like 2015, man. That joke is so like 1998.
I don't even like you. I don't even like you. I'm gonna go put my slap bracelet on and go sit in the living room.
So I mean, I think that the TV format works great. And you mentioned the old 90s X-Men cartoon.
Oh, I love that cartoon. Fantastic.
I gotta tell you, I have watched a bunch of superhero cartoons and movies and shows, and rarely have I ever seen a video adaptation of a comic book property that stays so true to the source material than that cartoon.
Yeah, it was great.
If you've watched that cartoon, and if you actually remember the cartoon, you pretty much have a decent handle on the first 20 years of X-Men history. You covered most of the major plot stories. They were actually in there. Days of Future Past, they did it. Age of Apocalypse, they did it. There were a lot of storylines, from the comics. Most of the plots in the very first encounter with Magneto. It was a different team because that was actually the original X-Men, but that was pretty much how that story went. They stayed very true to the characters' personalities. They didn't just change it randomly because why the hell not? I don't get it. If you've got something that's proven to work and you've got a character, why change things about it? what's wrong with the original? You know,
I agree completely.
I never understood that. So like if they do it, and that was on Fox. Granted, you know, it was a cartoon, and they probably weren't trying for the ratings and whatnot, and so they probably didn't have, you know, some executive meddling with the whole damn thing the entire way.
Which is probably why it worked so well.
Right, but it went really well. Like, if they make a live action series that's anywhere near as good as that, then hell yeah, I want to see some X-Men TV series.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Okay, on to the last bit of news this week. There was an announcement. Guillermo del Toro will be directing a Justice League Dark movie. Now, if you're not familiar with Guillermo del Toro, he's known for directing movies Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, and Pacific Rim are probably the three biggest if I had to pick three. Thoughts? We'll start with Pirate.
I think it's going to be amazing. I think you couldn't ask for a better director in the whole occult realm type feel. Like, look at his work with Hellboy that he did. I thought both movies were fucking amazing.
You know, they announced a third one.
Oh, they did announce a third one?
He's going to be directing a third Hellboy movie.
That's even better.
And I think a second Pan's Labyrinth as well.
That's going to be weird because I don't know how they'll do that. But
I could be wrong on that one, but
well, I mean, it would have to be a different character. But Pan's Labyrinth was awesome, but you know, it was one of the. I think that was like the first that I can really know of that sticks out as the oldest that he's done that I can think of. But you know, when I first seen it, I don't speak Spanish fluently, you know, and I'm not a big fan of, you know, foreign films and subtitles and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I've watched a lot of them, but it's usually after massive hype. Like El Mariachi was one, but you know, it's one of those movies that I have to know that it's been a good movie before I watch it, before I want to invest.
You're not willing to take a chance on it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I like movies that I have to, you know, use my brain obviously when I watch, but I don't like movies that I have to read all the time. But Pan's Labyrinth was the first one that I seen that I was like, I knew going into it when it first came out, like, okay, this is gonna be a Spanish film, but it looked fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was a very twisted film. It was very not what you expected at all, and the ending was just mind blowing. And I had no problem following along and reading it and still being engaged in the visual aspect of the film. Pacific Rim was obviously awesome, and I think they're doing a second one of that too.
That's what it was.
Pacific Rim was sweet.
Hellboy 3 and Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah. Pacific Rim 2. Pacific Rim 1 was fucking awesome. Like that movie.
I still haven't seen that.
Blew me away. Oh my
seriously?
God.
Yeah, seriously, I still haven't seen that.
Wow.
Yeah, such a good movie.
I bought that Blu-ray, and you know, some movies have better rips than others. Man, the Blu-ray version of Pacific Rim is like just, it's pretty.
I can imagine. I remember when it came out in theaters, I watched it in 3D, and just like the underwater scenes, like the shit that didn't really have any direct feel or the direct, you know, shot, like the little aesthetics, like the fish and shit. Just it was done so good. It was that 3D was so much better than Superman or Man of Steel 3D. Like, Man of Steel 3D was just so much shit. I think Topher, you was with me when we've seen that one, and dude, it was just like.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah.
Man, yeah. We went to I got drunk beforehand. I could have something to do with it. But, man, dude, it was just like I fell asleep during the fight with Zod at some point because I just I have to close my eyes. There was just too much going on. But Pacific Rim was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Justice League Dark movie. Lots of interesting characters. The big question for you, Topher, is do you think that they will cast Keanu Reeves as Constantine? Because I know you love him.
You know, just because I hoard myself out to that question for points during our little game doesn't mean that I.
Let me clarify. I liked the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves. It's not John Constantine from the comics, really, but it is a good movie. I do like that movie.
It's not a bad movie. It's not, I don't dislike it.
So what do you think? What do you think, Topher? You gonna? Is this something that gets your motor running as the female of the group, being Invisible Woman and all?
Right. What exactly is it? What's the name of the project?
It's Justice League Dark.
Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tell me exactly what that is. I don't know what
Zatanna,
Justice League
it's
Dark
like
is.
Zatanna, John
Swamp
Constantine, Swamp Thing,
Frankenstein,
Frankenstein.
Boston Brand, Deadman.
Is it gonna be it's gonna be a movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the Justice League but instead of having the superheroes, it has the
Right. It's kind of like the
It's
like the supernatural Justice League.
Yeah.
That sounds cool to me because, when you've got characters like that are not necessarily well known, then I feel like people don't screw with them as much, and you can get like a decent performance out of people. You can, like. When people don't know who they are anyway, they tend to use the stories that they have more rather than trying to write something new and original.
Here's a list of, just to give you a quick list. Here's the list of the Justice League Dark characters. Andrew Bennett, which is an old vampire. Black Orchid, she's a shape-shifting. She's a shapeshifter. It looks like. Dr. Mist, Frankenstein, John Constantine, Deadman. Madame Zandu, who's a mystic and fortune teller. Mind Warp. Let's see. Nightmare Nurse. Pandora, Phantom Stranger, Princess Amaya of House Amethyst. Shade, Swamp Thing, Timothy Hunter, Zatanna, and Zoriel. So.
Okay, I know, like.
But you know what? Right, exactly. Me too. And I've read some Justice League Dark, but I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. And here's the thing: like Guillermo del Toro Del Toro. I always screw that. I always screw up his name. But that dude does some amazing work, and he is kind of like the master of, the whole like creature effects movie, so I mean that cast of characters in a movie that he's directing, I mean he's gonna give it its due. He's gonna make it look good, and he has no problem making things weird, and it's not gonna have that like like a lot of movies they try for the look, but then the tone of the movie still doesn't match, and it's like some lighthearted teen thing half the time, and his movies, like the tone and the setting and the visual effects just all come together so well, and so I feel like that sounds.
I hope it comes out. I hope it comes out honestly. I hope it comes out as closer to like a horror movie than anything else, to be honest with you, because I think that's what would really, like you said, complement the tone. Something that's really takes itself seriously and has got that dark grittiness about it that'd be pretty awesome. So, well, that's it for this week. That covers pretty much everything. I'm Fox 2. We got Pirate.
Have a good week.
And Topher.
What is Batman's guilty pleasure? Vigilante justice.
And there it is.